Okay, so hello everybody, Kia ora, everyone in New Zealand, Kia ora whanau. I'm trying to speak Maori since I'm here in New Zealand and I'm actually, you know, I'm mixing up myself with most of my friends now are like from Maori background and they're so passionate about their culture. So kia ora everybody, and Katina here. I tried to do a live video, but for some reason it's not uploading on my Facebook. So I thought I would do it as an offline video for my YouTube channel now so that we can share it as soon as possible. And the reason I'm doing this is just to raise an awareness that we are doing a protest tomorrow at number 31 Alberton Avenue, Mount Albert, at Marist College for Girls. And we all know the story behind this protest is because our girls a week ago, they tried to show that Black Lives Matter and held hands in solidarity and in remembrance of George Floyd. But what happened is their principal, Rachel, went and ripped all the posters without communicating with the girls. And even from my end, knowing how widespread this Black Lives Matter revival is across the globe, it actually touched my heart. And I went to the school to try and meet with Rachel, but I was told that she was on the phone, and then I got told that she was in a long meeting, and then I got told that she was not on the school grounds. So which is which? There could only be one principal. But anyway, I ended up just leaving, and I was told that somebody was going to call me back as soon as they finished their meeting. And I'm telling you that since Tuesday, I'm still waiting for that phone call. So I ended up having to send an email. I requested for the board of trustees email address or the contact details. I was not given those because obviously they knew what I was going to communicate to the board about. So I didn't get that either. So that's actually withholding information from a parent, which is not acceptable. I believe it's not acceptable. It's not fair for me as a parent to go through that kind of mental torture, really. That's what I would call it. So anyway, I ended up sending an email and just said, requested the admin or the principal or whoever to please forward it to the board. And I believe the board probably got it, but they only got back to me yesterday, which is Sunday. And that's when they responded to my email. Giving the usual excuses that they will follow their due processes, which is like 7 days. Unfortunately, I sent my email as a matter of urgency, and I don't know whether they saw that and just ignored, thinking it's just a black woman, a colored woman, being vocal as usual, or what. I don't know what they are thinking or they were thinking. However, I've tried to meet with the board, and this has not happened to date. So I've now decided to resort to the only other way of communicating that I am aware Marist College and the Marist School board seem to respond to: protest. Our girls have not been heard. I feel strongly that their freedom to express themselves has been taken away from them. Their freedom to speech, really, has been taken away from them. And just recently we had, I think it was on the 11th, News Hub posted something that was through the media that an audio had leaked from the Marist School assembly, and that upset the principal because they don't want the things that happen at school to be known externally, but these are the things that will actually influence change within the school. So we need to know about this, and our children tell us, no matter how much they say don't tell your parents, they've been threatening our kids, and that's why we are saying enough is enough. We don't send our children to be taught to keep secrets from their parents, or for teachers and principals and the board of trustees that we should be trusting with our children to start instilling fear in our kids. So that's why we are saying enough is enough. So why are we going public with this protest? Is because we've tried the normal way of communicating with the school board. We have tried talking to the school principal and the teachers and the dean, but they seem to have excuses and they become very defensive just to protect their own agendas, and that's not gonna work from this point on. We've seen enough, and we all know that racism is here in New Zealand. And I mean, this is my attempt, or our attempt, me and a few other parents who have come together to say we need to influence the public of the much needed change or policies in schools, so that people can be aware that racial bullying exists, and sometimes it can actually come from the people that we trust to look after our kids during those 8 hours of schooling, 6 to 8 hours of school. And at the moment, Marist is not safe for our children at all, and that's why we are reaching out to the media, we are reaching out everywhere else. And I just really want to read something that the students wrote to the principal, and I think I read this last time, but I'm just going to do this again since this is what this is all about. So we just want to say we are backing you up, students, and I know that the students who started this, they got into trouble, and I am saying you did a good job. And I know the principal has been trying to cover up, trying to cover her, her tracks and everything, but it's not working. Until you meet with me, until you meet with us, we won't stop talking, and we're going to get all those audios leaking again, because there is actually quite a lot that has been going on, and that one that is leaked is just one out of the many. So talk to us and meet with us, especially the school, the board of trustees. You need to meet with us. It's better now than later, because I think the situation is becoming hopeless on your from your end, because we'll do whatever we can to be heard. So the students said, after the principal had ripped off their posters, you taking down posters only goes to show how uncomfortable when confronted you feel. And she does feel confronted, and she's very uncomfortable, and you can tell from the way she has now turned off the Wi-Fi for the students. I've also heard a rumor that some students, a group of students, got asked to give their passwords for their social media accounts, and that's not okay, because that's invasion of personal privacy. And why would the school be requesting, just because you're worried about some information leaking out there? There's actually a lot more that we see in the media about Marist right now, about you, the principal of Marist, than you would ever know. So you can turn off the Wi-Fi. We'll buy our children data so that they can access internet from anywhere. So there's only so much you can control in this world. So anyway, they went on to say, we don't understand how you can be of Pacific descent and still yet push your own aside to please the oppressors as well as yourself. You are shutting down students' initiatives that helped create safe spaces that you and your team failed to do. I agree with these students, because there's actually quite a lot that I'm going to share about my own experiences with my daughter, especially following the COVID-19 exposure. So many of our children got exposed to COVID-19, and I'm going to say this right now. My daughter actually tested positive for COVID-19 because Marist College wouldn't listen when I tried to explain to them that my daughter was not going to France anymore because COVID-19 was in the country. They argued with me and said, you need to pay the balance for the trip or you risk losing all your money. And I said, I want my money back. Up to now, I haven't received anything about that money. No consolation, no refund or anything. They haven't said anything about those monies, which is quite strange. So we ended up having the biggest cluster of COVID-19 in New Zealand, being at Marist. Yet just a few days before that, the principal, the same one that went to rip posters, had actually told the students that there was nothing to worry about because COVID was not going to touch their school. So anyway, we also ended up getting all these unusual phone calls from the dean called Judy Liman, I think that's how they say her name, telling us that our children, in how I translated it as she was trying to say my daughter was dumb. and wasn't doing well. She was the least in class, and apparently she did that to so many different students in that year level, in year 11, as a way to try and make them do a subject called enhance, where you don't need to use your brain to do that subject. It's just some credit given to you for nothing. And so she was asking my daughter to drop, I think, science, and initially to move to another class, and then it was just all over the place. And when I listened to it, my daughter kept saying, no, I want to do this, no, I want, and she was overriding everything that my daughter was saying. That's when I took over the phone call and I said, my daughter wants to do this, and that's what she's going to do. I am a nurse myself. I have a master's in nursing. I studied with Auckland University, and I know how to help my daughter to do better. So these are some of the things that I've actually learned, that they've been doing that to many girls to try and make them drop certain subjects that they had chosen. And I believe it's actually their way of trying to up their academic, statistics, because we know that Marist has always been a high achieving school because of obviously the contributions that we had from the good or the best principal that we had before this one that has come in. So they are trying too hard, and their way of doing it obviously is not in a holistic approach, where they don't consider how the children's emotional being, their mental being. My daughter ended up describing it as, when she rang me, Mom, I felt so anxious, I felt nearly depressed, I felt demoralized, I felt like, what's the point of going to school, right? So those are some of the things that we have been experiencing with Marist. Children are not heard. I actually say to my daughter, I feel like she wasn't listening to you. And I actually told Judy Liman over the phone, and I said, you were not listening to my daughter. So is it because she's black? And the only time she retreated from forcing my daughter to drop some subjects is when I mentioned that I have a master's myself. I've gone through studying, and I know how hard life has been with my family for the last few months. So if she's getting over 50%, I'm happy with the grades, considering what she's been through. So we are fine. So that's the only time she listened and went, oh. So when do I always have to use my academic achievements from my profession to validate that my daughter, even though I'm a black person, I actually have a fully functioning brain, and she's human too. She's got a fully functioning brain, because obviously were they undermining her because she's black? That's what I'm thinking now, considering that they went and ripped posters about Black Lives Matter and trying to make her do enhance. Why trying to make her drop subjects that you could help these students to do them better? So they tried to do that on another student, one of my daughter's classmates as well. And she said, hey, this is what's happening. I said, you tell her to tell her mama to ring the school and say, don't do this shit with my daughter. And the mother did exactly that. She sent an email, and the daughter remained with her usual subjects. So just in brief, some of the things that have been going on. But well, we went to the Black Lives Matters march, and I received a phone call from the principal telling me and asking me why my daughter was not in school. And I said we were self-isolating. And what I meant by that was, my kids just needed time with their mama so that we could emotionally support each other. She didn't understand it. And obviously, when we heard about the way she responded to the posters that were put by the senior girls around the school, I realized that that's why she gave me attitude towards my response to her about why I kept my kids at school. And for a week, the whole week, my daughter didn't want to go to school. She said, Mom, I just want to rest at home. Now I understand why. And she has been telling me quite a few things that have been going on around Marist College. So that's why we are protesting tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. at Marist Girls College in Mount Albert, 31 Alberton Avenue. 7:30 a.m. tomorrow, Tuesday, New Zealand time in Auckland. I look forward to seeing everybody there. And yes, I initiated that with a few other parents. I went to the police station, to our local police station, just to inquire about this, to say, how do we go about protest? They explained to me a few things, and I can say we will try to keep things on the down low, but we will speak up. We're gonna be heard. And having said that, our girls matter. Their freedom matter to us, and we cannot be shut down for forever. A lot has happened to me as well as an individual in my personal life, social life, in regards to racism. And that's why I'm so passionate about this Black Lives Matter thing. And when we say Black Lives Matter, we mean everybody matters, right? However, everybody will matter when we start realizing and acknowledging that Black Lives Matter, because they are the ones that have not been looked at as people that matter. But we all bleed red, and we need to understand that everybody matters, including these Black lives that we have not been looking at as important. So I've had quite a few back and forth emails with the board, and it's not working. That's why I'm resorting to this protest. And when we protest, it's just because we just want to make our opinions heard. And it's actually an attempt to try and influence public opinion and change of policies, school policies. It's not just for Marist, but I believe this will influence different schools on the way they handle matters related to students, because these students, they have rights too. So I just trust that the school board will be fully on board, with this evolving paradigm shift which is happening right now, in terms of attitudes. But I mean, we see this is happening locally and internationally, that there's this paradigm shift towards evolving significant appreciation of the underlying depth of issues related to racism since the George Floyd thing happened. So racial bullying is not okay, and we are trying to bring awareness that it exists and we need to do something about it. And we can only do something when we acknowledge that it is there. Whether you've experienced it, whether you know something about it or you've heard about it, just being there and supporting and knowing that it's something that we need to do something about, we need to address, to genuinely begin to address this nonsense that has been going on around us. And I mean, I'm also just glad to say that the majority of protesters around us, and even overseas in America and everywhere, it's been Europeans, really. And that's quite amazing. It's a huge, significant assurance for me as a Black woman, as a colored person, to believe that this time the deeper attitudes and actions required are finally starting. We're having a Black Lives Matter revival. So people are taking this seriously, and I'm just so glad to see that most people are doing something about it. So I trust that Marist as a school, like the principal and the teachers, and Marist school board, the board of trustees, will start to realize and fully comprehend the significance of what we are doing and of what everyone else is doing, and take it seriously, not just sugarcoating things and trying to appear like they are on board when they are not. Yet when audios leak, they say something different, and then when they're in front of cameras, they want to present like as if they are on board. No, you are not on board yet until you meet with us, the parents, and hear us out, and not try to avoid problems that they are right in front of you. These cover-ups are not helping you anymore. So I hope they won't underestimate the depth of how much can come out of this. So yeah, I just thought I would share with everybody to say it's time for a Black Lives Matter revival, and having that solidarity of knowing that we are all human beings and we all matter, but we will all start to matter when we realize that Black Lives Matter. So God bless you all, and I do look forward to seeing people tomorrow and 7:30 a.m. New Zealand time in Auckland, 31 Alberton Avenue. It will be good. We'll try to keep it nice and brief. And I was just trying to make some posters here. Marist, are you listening? Marist, please listen. Black Lives Matter, silence is violence, and I agree with that. Black Lives Matter, Marist, can you join with us? Black Lives Matter includes Marist girls too, Marist girls deserve their freedom of speech, freedom of expression, Black Lives Matter. We need change. We need support. Girls have rights to be heard. Girls have the right to communicate. Our social media passwords are personal. We have rights to privacy. All lives will matter when Black lives begin to matter. We all bleed red. So these are just some of the things that, you know, people have been throwing to me, and I'm like, yeah, actually, I agree with all that. So I look forward to seeing everybody, and God bless you all. Goodbye.